right, folks, so this week we wanted to use our show to talk about a topic or a question that I get a lot from singers that are performing in it. And what that is what we all want to know. How do I get the flattest stomach possible for stage? How do I develop my arms, my shoulders, areas of my body that are going to be, highlighted in, a dress or an outfit or, a costume on stage? How do I get the most out of, defining my body? And what we want to think about first is, why wouldn't that happen? Okay, so if you're doing curls and crunches and all of these exercises, but you're not getting the progress that you want, it's more than just saying like you have to improve your diet, because again, that's subjective, and that's not even what what I want you to think about. But what I want you to really consider is, what is the metabolic health of the area that we're working on? Okay, for example, if I'm trying to define my stomach, right, what'll happen is when I do, crunches, when I do my sit-ups or whatever I'm doing, planking, my muscles my body will send glucose to the area to kind of fuel what I'm doing. And then once I stop, it's going to use that glucose or, the kind of the energy that my body, or the food that I've taken in, that's been converted to glucose, to start to, develop the muscles there and rebuild them. But let's say I have some inflammation in there and the tissue in my stomach is metabolically unhealthy. The inflammation is going to shut down my cell's ability to uptake nutrients. Okay, so instead of that happening like I wanted to, I'm going to have to generate a higher stress response. I'm going to have to use more hormones, more chemicals for that to even occur at all, and it's going to occur at a much slower rate. So the net effect is that we don't necessarily get the definition that we want. We end up wasting a lot of energy, and actually in some cases that energy ends up getting stored in fat cells. So the best way that we can work on getting these areas is by improving the metabolic health of those areas. Okay, and so what we're going to talk about today are some exercises and some strategies to help key areas of your body become more glucose sensitive. Okay, what all that means is, better utilize carbohydrates, because when we take in carbs, what should happen is they should be converted to glucose, and if we're training regularly, they're going to be shuttled to our muscles to be used as fuel during exercise and then as fuel to rebuild after we stop. But in order to ensure that's the case, we want to utilize protocols and exercises that are going to help our muscles to accept those things and to be metabolically healthy. And the way that's going to work is by burning them out and causing them to need a ton of it. Okay, that might seem counterintuitive, but I'm going to give you guys some circuits today that are going to work on just that. So if you have sort of maybe an area you might want to work on your arms, your shoulders, your stomach. We're going to do stomach, we're going to do arms, and we're going to do shoulders today. And follow this protocol. I think this will really help. This is great for singers that are on the road and you don't necessarily have a lot of control over what you're eating. This will help your body to become more insulin and glucose sensitive, which means that you're going to be able to use the carbohydrates that you eat better, which means that you're going to make faster progress. Okay, so stay tuned and prepare for muscles to burn like crazy. All right, folks, welcome to our arm circuit. Okay, now you can do this with any particular arm exercises. We're going to do this with skull crushers just because I like them. We're going to do 30 seconds of work followed by 15 seconds of rest for 8 rounds, which means that I'm going to do 30 seconds of skull crushers. I'm going to try to burn them out. Ideally, I want to get maybe 8 to 15 reps. And I'm going to rest for about 20 seconds. I'm going to repeat this several times. So it's sort of interval training for my extremities here. And this is really going to burn things out. It's going to help my triceps and my arms to utilize what we call lactic acid a little bit better. It's going to require a ton of carbohydrates to recover from, which is going to help to define our arms. Okay, so we're going to take about 20 seconds off here. First set might not have been super challenging, but by set 8, you are going to be burning like crazy. I've got 2 10s here. I'd recommend choose a weight that's relatively light, but still pretty challenging. So here we go. So again, and notice, I'm doing this, I'm kind of, moving pretty quickly. and I want to get to the point of sort of muscle burn, but not to the point where I can't lift it anymore. I just feel like it kind of slows down because things get tired, as opposed to like, can't lift my arm anymore. Typically with this, I'll do anywhere from 6 to 8 rounds. Starting to burn a little bit more now. And this can be done for really any exercise. I like a little bit more isolated exercises when we're talking about this protocol, because we're trying to isolate the triceps as much as we can here. So even doing this in a standing position would be a little bit more total body. So this would be a good time to use machines at the gym if you wanted to target like the shoulders, for example. Like a shoulder press machine is good, or the lateral raises I'm going to show you. But again, by set 3, you're going to really start to feel the burn here. And it's kind of weird to have just, my triceps and primarily my arms just sort of burning as opposed to, the rest of my body. But we very much want to isolate this to, one area. So here we go again. Just focusing on keeping my eyes up, looking straight at the ceiling. Almost there. Just kind of shaking my arms out here. I'm going to go for 6 to 8 rounds typically here. Went for 8 rounds today. Really challenge you guys. Here we go. Let's raise our arms. Eyes are up. The other thing to consider when we're doing these is that I don't necessarily want to do these when I'm on a very low carbohydrate diet, just because we're trying to utilize carbohydrates here. If we don't have that available to us, we're going to end up just kind of doing damage to this area of the body versus actually utilizing them. So if you're in a situation where you're on the road and you're traveling a lot, you're eating carbs, this is a very, very good protocol to do. Maybe 2 to 3 times a week. It's starting to burn now. We're almost there. Had a big carb meal earlier, so there's no problem for me here. We've just got one more round to go. Again, let's shake our arms out. You're also going to get a crazy, crazy pump from this, so don't worry, your arms will you'll get feeling back in your arms momentarily. But this is really sort of useful because that burn is lactic acid that's building up in that area, helping us know that we've had the intended effect. All done, guys. Really starting to feel my arms. We're going to so that was our triceps. We're going to go ahead and move on to our shoulders. So I will see you guys in the next segment. All right, folks, welcome back. So now we're going to focus on shoulders. And for shoulders, we're just going to do lateral raises. And for these, we're going to limit it to 8 reps just because these can start to burn quickly. So we're gonna pick weights that are pretty light. For me, I have 10s, but I recommend 5s. We're just gonna do 8 reps in this 30-second period, or let's say 8 to 10 reps. And again, just kind of moving fast on the way up. Create momentum from the bottom here. We're going to do 10. We're just going to put it down. I'm going to let it rest for a second. Recommend putting them down after each set because you want to relax the grip a little bit. But the way I like to do this is I'll set the work period at about 30 seconds and the rest period anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds. I use what is called the interval app, and you just literally Google interval timer. I'm sorry, search for interval timer on the Play Store or on the, or I guess on the Google Play Store. So again, we're going to do 10 in total. Great stuff. Okay, again, we're going to give it a rest for a second. And if you're using lighter weight, certainly doing more is probably a little bit more useful for me, because these 10s for me even are a little bit heavy. I'll go on the lower side of my reps, but again, feel free to do more. You just want to get to the point where it's like semi-burning, but you can keep going a little bit longer, because by the last set, you won't be going quite as long. We're just going to do 10 in total. The other thing with lateral raises or shoulder things in general, with singers, I'm very careful with how I do these. We only want to lift up maybe halfway. I don't want to come all the way up to here oftentimes, because you may not have the shoulder flexion. You're going to want to do that, and you might start to feel in your traps. So again, this is why we want to err on the side of lighter weight, and we might want to raise it up a little bit less. I mean, literally even to here is sufficient for most people. I'm raising it up probably a little bit more, but what you'll notice is I'm creating momentum at the bottom to really sort of just almost force it up, as opposed to just slowly lifting it through a larger range of motion. So for me, that helps to kind of activate my fast twitch muscle fibers, which just means the calorie or the glucose burning fibers, the things that we want to use to get that muscular definition. So I like to kind of go fast from the bottom and then sort of let it drop back down. That's going to ensure that we use our deltoids as well, as opposed to initiating with our traps oftentimes. Whereas if I'm going like that, I'm going slow, traps have more of a chance to kick in. So just an old school bodybuilding trick there. Again, we come up, we come down. Just fasten the way up, fasten the way down. We're almost there. We've got about 2 more rounds. Hopefully stuff is burning by now. Let's do 1 more. Whew. And again, if I start to feel a little bit too much, I feel like stuff is kind of super stiffening up, I can always extend my arms out and sort of go like that, or I can just let them hang down by my side. Try to kind of extend my arm out like I'm being pulled with a rope. Just open my hand up and close my hand. That'll help to kind of free things up a little bit before we make them burn again. So we're almost there. Just got 1 more round to go. One more, and 10. All right. And again, if you do start to feel your traps, that's just an indication that you're getting tired. Your body is starting to want to use muscles other than your kind of your deltoids or your shoulder muscles. So you might want to, in that case, lower the weight or potentially extend out the rest period just a little bit, not much. So you might go to 30 to 40 seconds of rest as opposed to the 15 or the 20 that I usually do. Let's see how you're feeling after this last set here. 8, 9, and 10. All right, so hopefully things are burning by now. Again, this is going to help to start to get you to sort of the shoulder, the great shoulder definition that you want, but it's also a great stimulus for metabolic health.